Too smooth that mud talking to have your ass in a wreck. Who's signing your check? Pussy better do what he says. We shutting down shows. Ain't gotta put no price in your head. Man, I'm coming for your tongue for all that shit that you said.
Gonna make the profiles boom, 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 boom. What it is, as you can tell by that thumbnail, and you're sitting right here, first and foremost, I want to say thank you. This profile is special to me. It's a big deal. Not only is it the first profile that we're premiering right here on Gunner's Profiles, but also it's a friend of mine, someone I hold in high regard, someone that I respect, irregardless of what people may think, and sometimes how our formats and the way we talk and the way we do things clash. At the end of the day, man, this man is to be well respected, to be admonished, and to be adhered to, because at the same time, he was one of the highest ranking members ever of La Nuestra Familia, a Cat 3 in every form and fashion. We're talking about one John Boxer Mendoza. Okay, and when we're talking about Big Box, before I even get to profiling him, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of the backstory concerning me, with my experience concerning Boxer. Okay, so before I ever even got involved in YouTube, I was just like any of you. I used to go to work every day. I would kick on back before I checked that chin. And obviously, I was a bored vato, single, ready to mingle, with nothing else to do than to sit there on YouTube and watch strange people do strange things. And one day I came across Paradigm Media News. For those of you that don't know, that's Boxer's channel, and he's boom bangling doing his thing, man. One of the best channels on the forefront, you know, of the prison genre here on YouTube. But it caught my interest because I seen a huelga bird. For those of you that don't know what a huelga bird is, and I'm sure many of you do, it's the symbolization not only for the United States farm workers, but also for the Norte or La Nuestra Familia. At the same time, I recognized this symbol, and of course, it shocked me that this symbol would even be on YouTube at this time. The Norte, as well as the Nuestra Familia, have always been a very clandestine group, okay? And that's just how it was, how it is, how it forever will be. They don't like to put their business out there on the streets. They never have, never will. So to see this, I was shocked. I was befuddled. Word of the day, right? And I started watching, and I started to listen to Boxer shoot spills. He was actually reading his book. If you haven't heard his book before, I know many of you have. It's called A Broken Paradigm, a bestseller. I got it in my collections. You need to have it in your collections. It's one of the realest, rawest books. So hearing this man speak, I was lured into it. I was enraptured, not only because it was something based on something I was familiar with, being from up north in Northern California and being an ex-norteño, but at the same time also because of the way he spoke the words that were coming out of his mouth were righteous. They were real. I recognized them as real. And a lot of the names that he was utilizing in this spiel, in his book, were absolutely dead on correct. I know a lot of the individuals he spoke on or spoke about. And if I didn't know him first and foremost personally, I did know the history on these individuals. And I could say, man, he did an absolutely fantastic job in the descriptive nature of the way he performed right there while doing that book. So not only was this man a YouTuber, but he is also a famed author. What more can I say? You know, when I say author, philanthropist, entertainer, YouTuber, entrepreneur, these are the words that come to my mind when I think about Big Boxer. I don't think gang member. I don't think part of a criminal organization. These are not things I think about. But hey, all these get thrown into a box, shook up, and guess what? The man known as John Boxer Mendoza comes out. Yes, he was all that plus some. So getting to watching his little content that he used to put out daily, and he continues to on his book, I was enraptured. You know, I used to go to work, come home every day. I'd run. I couldn't wait to get home. So I was going to jump in the bed, throw on John, and see what was cracking with Big Box. You know, I liked the way that he told the story, the charisma he had, and the way that he gave his delivery. Delivery is everything, okay? If you're able to deliver a message and it's actual and factual, and you really put some stamp behind it, and I know that you've lived that life and you've really been where you're speaking on, then hey, so I was like this, like I said, enraptured, listening to every word that came out of the individual's mouth, and at the same time, couldn't get enough of it. So I got the idea. That sparked the flame. That told me, Gun, maybe you should do something like this. So yes, I owe a lot of credit to Big Boxer for sparking that flame in my mentality to actually come on YouTube and decide to put some content out there and tell my own stories. So if it wasn't for Big Boxer, yes, John Mendoza, there never would have been a gunner. That's a fact. That's the truth, man. I just got to put that out there. Okay, now I know right now you guys are like, get off his pipas. Okay? I ain't trying to go that route. I'm just keeping it real. I'm keeping it direct. And I'm giving Vato a respect that he rightfully deserves. He's been doing this. He's been true to this. He ain't new to this. And sabes que, hey, it's just righteous due. And you gotta be a man. And a man cannot be a man if he doesn't tell the truth. At the end of the day, becoming transparent and telling the truth is all that is asked of us. And on we go. So now getting to his profile, Big Boxer, you know, first and foremost, I want to say that I felt, and for no other reason, I should construct this piece of content right here on YouTube to let it be known, man, that this Vato story is crazy, right? It involves a little bit of everything: love, passion, determination, viciousness, tenaciousness, sorrow, heartache, you know, coming back from the dust, man, from the ashes he rose, you know, blooming from the concrete, a little bit of everything. And at the same time, man, isn't that what we're all in search of? Ain't that what we're all enraptured with? Ain't that what we all want? A good story, a love story, a hardcore, vicious story, something that we could sit back, listen to, pop a bottle and say, "Sabes que? That bottle right there was as real as it gets." Well, here it goes. This is my perspective and my profile on one John Boxer Mendoza, and I'm going to give it to you to the best of my abilities. Now, I did tap in with Boxer personally on the phone. I did run this by him and ask him if I could do this. So before any of you babosos open your big fat mouths, hey, as Big Box would say, your suck muscles, and say, "Hey, Gunner, hey, why are you doing a profile on Boxer? He didn't give you the green light." Quite contrary. Yes, he did. And in fact, he's probably right now here in the premieres. If you have a question, I'm sure Big Box or Sandman will answer it. So listen, let's take it back. The city of San Francisco. Rice Aroni, the San Francisco treat. Orale, man. Ain't no rice Aronis in San Francisco, but real deal Holyfields with 2 ears. Vatos that'll bite yours off if you fuck with them, okay? And Boxer grew up in the Mission District, one of the most notorious and oldest barrios in the city of San Francisco. Now, the city of San Francisco, of course, is located in the Bay Area, right across that Bay Bridge from the city of Oakland, town business, or on the other side, the Golden Gate Bridge. So you know when you're going into that island, that big bad island of Frisco, one of my most favorite cities in the world, the wiggle can be real. It's a very diverse city. It's a city that has so many people, so many different nationalities that when you get there, so I was scared, you don't know where to go first. I was scared, I'm going to go to Chinatown. I'm going to hit Mission, go fuck with the Mexicanos. I'm going to go over here and get me some Italian food with the Italianos. I'm going to go over here with the Irish people. What the fuck, right? And go post up over there. You don't know where to go to first, right? But quietly as it's kept, beneath them sewers, beneath them trenches, man, beneath them streets, beneath them street lights, man, there's a lot of viciousness going on. There's some real ones, and there's a lot of gang activity. And Boxer growing up and being a product of San Francisco and the Mission District, he's seen everything, right? He's seen everything that goes into the backstage. Pay no attention to the man that's backstage. Well, guess what? Boxer was right there backstage and seen everything that goes on in them back alleys and them back streets of the city of San Francisco, Frisco 415, real deal Holyfield. Like I said, he lived it, he breathed it, he's seen it, and he rose up out of that trench. Now, growing up as a young man in the city of San Francisco, it was gang related. We're talking about the 70s and 80s here. We're talking about when Pintos were getting out of prison, when Nuestra Familia was established, when the Mexican Mafia was established, the Aryan Brotherhood, Black Guerrilla Family. And a lot of these individuals were finally being released from prison. Okay, a lot of these guys, it was their first time on the streets after these organizations were established. So they were touching down with an agenda to contribute back to the cause, to contribute back to their organizations. A mandate that said that they needed to get out and go ahead and organize, assemble regiments, things of that nature, and bring that back. So I was going to separate ours from yours and kick on back before we check your chin. Give back to the organization from which you have prospered. And of course, these individuals got out with a viciousness and a vicious intention to soak anything that they could and to gather all youngsters that they could and enrapture them to become manpower and soldados into making feria back so that they could give back to the cause. Hey, it was a righteous movement, so they believed. Hey, and all I could say at the same time was, this is what was happening. So Boxer growing up as a youngster, and excuse me, I would put it out there that he's from Puerto Rican descent. A lot of people get the misconception that Boxer is a full Mexicano. He comes from Puerto Rican descent, right? Exactly what I say. Latinos need to stick together. I always say Raza United. He's Raza first and foremost, period. Puerto Rican stand up. Shout out to all my Puerto Rican brothers. You already know what it is. Latinos Unidas. Anyways, living out there in the city of San Francisco, it's dangerous. Okay, it's dangerous, and boxers looking around, and anyone that knows about the Mission District, Excelsior, the Tenderloin, the waterfront, you know that there's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of alcohol being consumed, there's a lot of people over there trying to get above everybody else. Everybody's fighting to get on top of that mountain. Everybody's fighting every day for another dollar. You know, so growing up as a youngster, you got to understand that you have to be about it. You know what I mean? You got to stick out that chest stone that you could only get in press stone. You know what I mean? The burpees are not here. What's here is you, and you need to stand on your own toes and your own 2 and your own 10 when you're in the city of San Francisco. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't, you can end up someone's San Francisco treat. So Boxer was not going out like that. That's not the way he was raised. Of course, he was raised with his parents, and he grew up in an impoverished state in the Mission District. Okay, I'm not going to say this Vato had it bad or good, man, but just like many of us, he grew up knowing that if he was going to go out there in the streets, he needed to go ahead and get it himself, man, because nothing was coming to him easy. Okay, you got to understand that when you go out there in a big city like San Francisco, there's a lot of swindlers and shysters and people that are trying to get over on you, and the mentality is boom, bangling. You need to be up on your shit. You need to be up on your 10. You need to be up on what's going on around you, because you can get got very quickly in the city of San Francisco. So Boxer found himself getting involved in drugs and getting involved in alcohol. You know, he liked to sip a little bit, indulge a little bit, nothing too major, smoke a little marijuana, you know, do a little this and a little bit of that. And at the same time, that's what was going on around you. You know, you're a product of your environment. When that's all you see and that's all you know, basically pretty much that's what you're going to do. You know, that's the way you're getting laced up. You're saying it's all good for the big homeboy to be, you know what I mean, smoking a little leño. Says, I want to see what that be like one time from my mind. And that's exactly how Boxer gravitated. Now out there at this time in the Mission District, this was one of the oldest established neighborhoods for Mexicanos and Raza, period. Of course, you're going to have Salinas, and you're going to have San Jose, Barrio Horseshoe, Palmas, and things of that nature, barrios of that nature, that are very well established. And of course, down south is a different story. These vatos have been around since cavemen knew how to fucking start fires. But in the city of San Francisco, the Mission District is it. This is where the predominant raza is. You know, this is where Mexicanos, Puerto Ricanos, Latinos of all different nations have come together to establish a barrio, right? And there's several different clicas. You have 24, 22nd and Bryant, and so on and so forth. There are other norteño barrios established in the city of Frisco. I'm just speaking on the Mission in itself. So Boxer grew up in this area. You know, and he started to see vatos wearing red paños. Like I said, the norteños were barely established in the 80s. So Boxer's starting to see this. He's starting to wonder to himself, what are these vatos and why are they wearing all this red? They're wearing red hats, red banderas, red fucking paños. What's going on here? So how's the wind blowing, right? And he started to hang around with some of the local street gang neighborhood members, and he started to gravitate towards the norte. Now, you got to understand, at this time, the norteños were the predominant group. They were the ones that were being established out there. They were the ones that were the first and foremost establishing as far as Mexicanos, Chicanos, and so on and so forth. Of course, the Sureños came along pretty swiftly after. 19th Street was a well-known hood out there, and there were several others. But they weren't there quite yet. So Boxer grew up in a northern fashion. Being from Northern California, and especially the Bay Area, he had no choice other than to go one way or the other way, and he chose to go left. He chose to kick it with the norteños. So back in them days was different than it is now. Now everyone's quick to pull a gun. Everyone's quick to take off their tight pants because it's constricting the fucking blood flow to their brain. And sabes que they comb their Edgar backwards. Back then, it was all about Pendletons, Charlie Browns, Hush Puppy, Stacey Adams, Nike Cortez's, sabes que, a bald head, and let's get it. You know, there was a lot of fist fighting going on. And this is where Boxer started to develop his name, Boxer. Okay? He was out there in them streets handling his business. And when you're growing up in an impoverished neighborhood like that, such as the Mission District back then, you needed to have hands, or you needed to develop them quite swiftly. Because like I said, in Frisco, you can get got, and you can get got fast, right? So Boxer started to develop hands, and they came up with the placazo form Boxer. Now in every neighborhood, every barrio, you get a placazo. Mine was Skins, right? It became Skinner, then Gunner. So I was scared. Hey, the switch up was real. You feel me? But Boxer has always been Boxer, and like I said, it's because he was well known for his hands, and those would serve him just due, and they would give him justice because he was going to need those in the lifespan that he's living. So growing up around the Norteños, they started to get into it. They started to drink. They started to get high. And they started to look for local street gangs to beef with. And of course, that's when the Sureños came on the scene, 19th Street and several other barrios. And Boxer felt that if for no other reason, he knew and he was laced up enough to know that those were the enemies and they were to be eradicated from the city streets of Frisco. And so he got involved in a lot of fist fights, a lot of melees, a lot of different things. You know what I mean? A lot of them we cannot speak on here, but let's just say that Boxer was in the mix when it came to holding it down for his barrio, his true beliefs, and what he believed as a northerner, as a norteño. Okay, so about the year 1987-88, Boxer finds himself getting incarcerated in prison. Okay, and that's how your life goes. You know, he was able to bypass the juvenile correctional system, the juvenile justice system, you know, and just go straight into adulthood, go straight into the county jail, go straight into prison. And, you know, not a lot of people get to experience that. You know, a lot of people, they play the ropes. They go to placement, they go to juvenile hall. Then from juvenile hall, of course, they go to the California Youth Authority, and it's so on and so forth until they build up to that big old prison yarda. They hit there and they're pretty much laced up. But Boxer was a young man that went into a vicious and violent system. Now, let me tell you the differences from the system that Boxer Mendoza went into compared to what they are now. Right now, we're in the midst of an end of hostilities, meaning the North and South are on basically a stand back. They're on a half 60. They're on a soft defensive stance. They're all communicating and getting along. So let's get to what degree of getting along? I can't call it like an alcoholic, but at the same time, that's what is happening. Something that a lot of us, Boxer himself included, I'm sure, never thought we'd see the light of day that shined on. But it's happening. Okay, and it's a wonderful thing, but at the same time, this is not the system that Boxer went into. Okay, this is not the system that was there with open arms for him. He went into a vicious and violent system. He went into a system where Norteños and Sureños were well established and the war was real. He went into a war that was gonna stay going on for at least another 3 decades. He went right in the midst of a war, and as a young Norteño and being the opposition, the Southerners, man, you had to be on your shit. You know, of course, at that time, the Sureños were at the dictation and still are to this day of the big canales down south in 2 letters. You already know what it is. And of course, the Norteños fell up under the umbrella of the Nuestra Familia. So Boxer, being a young Norteño, quickly got into the fold and knew exactly what he had to do. He rather enjoyed fighting. He rather enjoyed putting the pressure on the Sureños because at the same time, these were the enemies. These were the same people that oppressed his people from where he was laced up. So Sabasque, he was going to get his get-backs, and he was going to get his get-backs tenfold. So going into the system, he started to meet older vatos, pintos, brocheros, vatos with brochas down to their fucking throat that were lacing him up and giving him the rundown. And they took a liking to Boxer. Not only was he a young warrior, a young soldier, ready to do whatever he had to do to protect the safety and security of the casa, but at the same time, he was always willing to educate his mind. See, it doesn't just take body and spirit. It takes a mind, a mentality. And those of you that know, that tap into Boxer's channel, know that he has a different type of mentality when it comes to the world. This man is up to par and up to game on a lot that's going on. Okay? So he's locked up at a young age, and he's starting to wiggle, and he's starting to catch the attention of a newly formed prison organization known as Nuestra Raza, the Hermanos, okay? Also labeled as the Northern Structure by administration. So, of course, they catch his eye. They see a young soldado striving. They see a young vato that's really in the mix, that's really out there on frontline status, handling his business. Of course, he gets involved in a lot of fist fights, a few melees, and a few things. Basically, he conducts himself how you're supposed to conduct yourself as a young Norteño that's striving. Striving for what? No one really knows. But at the same time, it's forever forward in that fashion. You're going to continue down that yellow brick road and down that path. And that's the path that Boxer was on. Some say it's a path to destruction. Some say it's a path to victory. At the same time, man, who gives a fuck? You just stay right on that path and everything's going to see all right. And in that fashion. You find me? So Boxer's right there doing and proceeding as he should. When he catches the eyes of several well-known gang members and several people that are laced up, educated, and have been around. So he gets the eye of one vato, Maikio, right? Maikio de Salinas de Salas. Now, everyone knows Salinas has always been labeled headquarters for the Nuestra Familia and the Nuestra Raza. It's pretty much the Mecca of the Norte, right? Anyone that's a norteño knows the city of Salinas as well as the city of San Juan. But Salinas, first and foremost, has always been that one city that stood out amongst the rest. There's a lot of veteranos coming from Salas. They're laced up differently. Vatos come out born with a red paño. They don't put a diaper on them. Ain't no Huggies. It's a red paño. Oh my. Says, get wash it. This is what they get. So Boxer starts to catch the eye of a well-known legendary figure, you know, from the Nuestra Familia, one Maikio, and several other individuals. In 1989, on December 11th, Boxer gets pulled as a B, a bro, an hermano to the Nuestra Raza. Now, this is an achievement not many have been able to do, okay? This is of an elite status, okay? This is right up under Nuestra Familia. You have the timeline goes, you have Nuestra Familia, of course, the organization, the O, and then right below it is basically what they consider the farm team, which is Nuestra Raza. They are soldados that are out there pushing the hard line and structuring everything up so that norteños feel safe and secure and they're able to be established on yardas. Okay, so Boxer being pulled into the fold and being pulled as an hermano was a big step in his life, you know, gravitating from being just a street gang member and to a norteño and to now a norteño soldado, right? An hermano at that time is what they called it. A full-fledged member of La Nuestra Raza. This is what Boxer was striving for, you know, to be recognized for his deeds, to be recognized for the accomplishments and for everything and all the work that he was putting in. So, okay, did he seek it? Chale, man, but it came to him, and when it comes to you, he grasped it and he ran with it because, that's what real motherfuckers do, okay? He took the reins and Sasuke, part the Red Sea. He went right through that motherfucker and he was on his way, okay? About the same time that he got pulled as an hermano, he was incarcerated and he started to notice that the tide was turning. Basically, what administration was doing was they were locking down all the carnales, meaning all the vatos from the organization, and leaving these hermanos out there on the yardas to fend for themselves and to struggle and strive and establish these yards. And of course, what administration also was doing at this time was trying to target Nuestra Raza members so that they could hit them with a validation point system. So that way they can get these guys in an indeterminate shoe and throw them back in the dungeons to which there's no return. Okay, now things have changed and we're going to get to that later on in the spill. But at this time, they were locking you up and throwing away the key and you weren't getting no action. So quickly, after a few times of going in and out and catching violations and being a Nuestra Raza member, Boxer gets validated. Okay, he gets validated and he finds himself in the Corcoran shoe. Now, those of you, wait up, the wind's blowing. Those of you that don't know who the Corcoran shoe is or what the Corcoran shoe is, it's a very treacherous and vicious and vile place. Okay, any shoe is. Pelican Bay and Boxer's been there. Tehachapi shoe, you already know what it is. And Corcoran shoe are three of the most notorious and vicious places you can go on the face of this earth. Okay, and when you're a gang member and you're in the mix and there's rules, regulation, and policies that you must adhere to, that's just even a little bit worse. So when Boxer gets to Corcoran, of course, he's already well-laced, well-educated. He already knows what it takes to be a norteño soldado, what it takes to stand back, to stand down for your people, to go forever forward in what he's doing, okay? But what he didn't know at this particular time when he got sat down in the Corcoran shoe was that there was gladiator wars happening, okay? And this is one of the things that piqued my interest when I heard Boxer's story, when he read his book, A Broken Paradigm. This man was actually involved in the notorious Corcoran shoe wars. Okay, there's a lot of people that talk about it and tell stories about the Corcoran shoe wars and talk about homeboys that were involved. And Sasuke, I heard this story and that's like this and like that and like that. And they say what they say and they do what they do. But at the same time, there's very few that were actually there, that actually felt it, smelt it, breathed it, lived it, tasted it every single day, day in and day out. Now, Boxer has told this story on his channel numerous times, you know, and it's something I'm sure he'll never be able to forget. He sees things that we only read about, we hear about, we watch on movies like Felon, okay? He was an actual member and a participant in a lot of these gladiator wars. Now, you need to understand, coming from the north, and I can speak for myself too, because I was once a striving norteño. I will say that we were always the minority. It didn't matter where we went. If we were the majority in a place, The gods were shining on us. But for the most part, we were up Ship Creek with half a paddle. Sasuke and the homeboy didn't even know how to row that boat. It was an ugly situation. So Boxer being put in the situation with only a handful of camaradas, homeboys, or bros at the time, young northerners, it was an ugly thing. It means that you would have to strive every day and fight to, stay established, to live, to hold your head up high. Because one show of weakness, one show of batting the eyes, one show of turning that cheek to the left, and Sasuke, you were going to be deemed all bad, looked at as a degenerate, as a no good northerner, and also you're going to be looked at as a victim by other group organizations because you didn't handle your business and you didn't do what you signed up for. Of course, Boxer wasn't going out like that. No way, Jose, right? Sasuke, he was in it to win it. He was barely in the midst of his prime. Sasuke, he hadn't even started yet. You feel me? So he was involved in these Corcoran shoe wars, and he's told stories, numerous stories on his channel, and he's put them in his book about going to Corcoran. Not only were inmates and convicts looking at you and knowing that it was on and it's on G, but also knowing that the administration and the COs themselves were betting on you, betting against you, betting with you, were treating you like shit, and for the most part, not every single CO, is going to be like that. But most of them were at this time. They looked at, Norteños, Sureños, Crips, Bloods, BGF at that time, Aryan Brotherhood members, as pawns on a chessboard. People they could just throw around from cell to cell, tier to tier, pod to pod, and play with. They were playing with people's emotions, playing with people's lives, and ultimately lives did get taken. Okay, and that's how the gladiator wars came to, cease. But Boxer has told stories, and I wanted to kind of key in on some of his stories. He's told stories about the light. That was the one that got me the most. How you would have to go out and fight. One day you'd go to yard, you'd go out there, they'd put two Norteños, two Sureños, or 1-on-2 or 2-on-1, or however they did it that particular day, and you had to get it on. There was no, Sasuke, Charlie, Jose, I broke my nail yesterday, it ain't gonna happen. No, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, right? Sasuke, I need you to co-sign it. It was gonna happen, so time and time again, Boxer went out to that yard and he handled his business. A concrete yard, a concrete jungle. Now they have cages. They keep different groups separate. But at this time they were having group yard, meaning you could be with the enemy on the yard and Sasuke, everybody was on site. It was time for war. Yes, gladiator wars. The administration, the placas, they knew exactly what they were doing, but they didn't give a fuck, man. They were going to throw young soldados out there to handle their business. And of course, they had no choice but to do that. When you're a young striver, no matter what faction or what group you're from, you're going to do what you have to do to survive. Not only for the safety and security of yourself, but to hold it down for the true cause and the true beliefs that are instilled in you and what you truly believe in. And Boxer was right there in the middle of this. He was one of those who did it for a long time, a long period of time. Now, when he talked about the light, there was a light over your cell. And if you turned that light off, that means you tapped out. You gave up. You did the Conor McGregor. What the fuck? You were done, right? Boxer's light never dimmed or went out. Okay? And there's a reason by that. And the reason for that. A mentality. It's not these. Of course he had these. Of course he was going out on the yard. You win some, you lose some. It was the mentality. Okay? Coming from the streets where he was raised. Coming from the soil where he toiled. Coming from where you had to be 10 toes down in that real hardcore, rugged, stuggish Bay Area, man. He had that mentality that he was not going to retreat nor surrender to any man, period, because he wasn't scared of any man. This is something that's instilled in you, and it's instilled in you through bloodline, Aztec warriorism, whatever it may be. But at the same time, man, if you got that and not everyone does, Sasuke, you're a real one in a real fashion, in a real way. That's spoken on by a real one. No doubt, right? So he continued to struggle and strive and go through these situations, these gladiator wars, like most people didn't. They tapped out. They hit that, dim that light, and Sasuke, I'm done, Box. Box was like, fuck that. I know, Sasuke, I don't give a fuck about a black guy. I gave 2 to get 1. It is what it is. He was with the business. Okay, so he goes through that. Of course, eventually, over time, administration catches wind when bodies come up dead. A couple of people were murdered by the COs, and Sasuke, the FBI takes over, does an improper investigation, and boop, 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 just like that, the gladiator wars cease to exist. Now, by this time, Boxer is on the streets. Okay, he is paroled. He gets out with good intentions. He gets out with the intentions that he wants to establish something for himself. Maybe get a highlight, get a job, stay on the back burner, but at the same time, man, if the homeboys need him for anything, he's down. So, of course, he quickly checks in with who's running things, Who's running the regiments? Because regiments are being established in several cities throughout the Central Valley. Of course, there were even some down south. Oh, you didn't know, right? And of course, in the Bay Area, where the wiggle is real, regiments are being established. So he quickly checks in and lets the homeboys know, hey, Sasuke, I'm here if you need me. It's whatever. I'm trying to do me. I'm trying to do the right thing. He's having an old lady at that time, man. He's just trying to live. But at the same time, in the meantime, in between time, the flame is still burning. The pool is still there. And if the homeboys need him, he's going to be there first and foremost. No questions asked. That's the measure of a man. That's the characteristic. That's what a true soldado and a norteño does. You check in, homie. You don't check out, right? So Sasuke, he was down with that program. Of course, he gets incarcerated again. You know, and I'm not going to go into every detail of every crime that Boxer committed. You know, that's his story to tell. He's told it. And if he wants to reiterate it, then Sasuke, you could ask him. He answers all questions and he tells no lies. He's going to give it to you really. He's a very transparent individual. When I call him, he answers. He never hesitates to hit me back on the pager if it's major. He rings my telephone, right? And we talk to each other. So first and foremost, if you have any questions, get that big box, man. He'll hit you back in a timely fashion. So anyways, he finds himself incarcerated again, locked up, like so many times before this. And he starts to gain the attention and the notoriety in the eyes of carnales, C's, made members in the mob, the organization, La Nuestra Familia, right? And they take a liking to Boxer. One in particular is Michael de Salas, I spoke on earlier. He takes a liking to Boxer, and he's seen him before and now seeing him again. He knows that this vato is even seasoned more than he was in the beginning. See, it's called being seasoned. When you're struggling and you're striving through the norteño cause, even the sureño cause, you become seasoned, a seasoned vet, okay? You start to become more educated, more indoctrinated, more in the know of what's going on. You know, you start to know how to establish yardas. You start to know the rules and regulations, the bonds, the formats, things of that nature that you need to learn and that you need to know, because at the end of the day, those are the golden rules of the Norte. And this vato, you know, is very seasoned. So Mikio takes a liking to him and starts to chop it up with him and conversate with him and starts the process of pulling him to become a carnal. Boxer meets every criteria. He's been doing it from the streets. He's never had no shadiness on his character, on his name. He's not in bad standing. He's a righteous soldado. He's quick to pick up a piece, quick to handle business, quick to do what he has to do for the Norte in the defense of the casa and Sasuke. That's what they see in him. But not only that, like I say, they see a keen mind. They see a mind state and a mind frame. They see a leader. Okay? In order to be a C, they have to see something that not everyone has. This is the most elite level you can achieve within the Northern cause. If you are pulled as a C, it's because not only are you a seasoned veteran out there on them yardas and them calles, but also because you have the mentality to be a leader and not a follower. So I was scared. They're not going to pull vatos that are like, now chale, you ain't got nothing coming. Oh, you could be a norteño, all right. Watch out. Make some sopita. At the same time, if you get pulled as a C, a carnal, that's the highest achievement, the highest level one could become, you know, when you're struggling and striving in that northern fashion. And so Boxer quickly gets indoctrinated, starts to become educated into, you know, the Constitution, the plights and the things and the rules and regulations to become a C. And of course, he gets put on a probationary status. This is the year 1994, okay? On August 14th, 1994, he marries Nancy Flores, okay? What is also codenamed for La Nuestra Familia. He becomes grasped and embraced within the fold. He is now under the umbrella of the Nuestra Familia. He is now a made member, okay? A very big deal to him. Something that I'm sure he'll never forget. Something that only a handful of individuals in this world have ever been able to say that they've done, okay? I've spoken to a lot of C's over my lifetime. Okay, I've rubbed elbows with a lot of carnales. And I can tell you right now, first and foremost, not one of them has told me the sacred ritual that goes on to be embraced within our Nuestra Familia. They still hold on to that, no matter of their status, whether they are no good status, they are dropouts, they are active, no matter what it is and what it be like, they hold on to that because that is something they cherish, something in their life that not a lot of people have done. So it's just like being the president. We've only had, what, 45 of them, those motherfuckers, right? It's something like that. It's something not everyone in this world can do. And I know to a lot of you, you're like, what's the big deal? Oh, so you're a big time gang member. You know, it doesn't, when you're striving and you're struggling as a youngster through the ranks and doing what you do and you finally hit the pinnacle, Hey, you, get off that mountain. When you finally hit the tip of that mountain and you're finally embraced to become a made member of the mob, that's something that you'll never forget and that will always be sacred in your life, whether it's looked at in a bad light or a good light. Irregardless of that, it's something you've done that not a lot of people can do, period. It's kind of like seeing UFOs. A lot of people say they did it, but is it real? So I was getting, we don't know. Only some of them have been captured, you know? Bang, bang. Get the picture? Read between the lines. Now, so he gets pulled, you know, as an active carnale. And of course, now it becomes your life. Okay, you fully dedicated your life as a Nuestra Raza member. Your life is for the Norte, for the cause, for the struggle. But now, even more so, you know, the Nuestra Familia comes before family, before friends, before your own selfish, greedy intentions. Before anything, it's the Familia first and foremost, and the sacred Biblia, and that's what it is, right? And of course, Boxer was in for a penny and in for a pound. He was all about that strive. He was all about it, okay? And started to rise up through the ranks pretty quickly. Okay, he went from Cat 1 status, which is the initial status that you're going to... I'm not going to give you guys too much of the rundown into the intricacies of what it goes into becoming a C and what they got going on, because I was scared that's their business. But at the end of the day, in order to tell this story right and to tell this profile right, I would tell you that he rose through the ranks quickly. Okay, so he gets out of prison. Now he is a C. He's a carnal. And he goes to the city of Ukiah. They place him in the city of Ukiah. Now, these were the times when they didn't want to send you back to the city of San Francisco. They didn't want to send you back to Salas, if that's where you're from. They didn't want to send you back to Sanjo because they knew you were an active prison gang member. They knew that you were part of a criminal organization. And Sasuke, they were trying to get you away, as far away from that as they could. But Sasuke, hey, the beat don't stop. And the beat goes on, you know what I mean? No matter where you go, being a made member, you are to establish a regiment. You are to establish something for the cause, and you are to bring that back. Sasuke, they go ahead and need that. You know what I mean? Separate theirs from yours. So he goes out to the city of Ukiah, and anyone that wants to refer to his book, he tells the full story. I'm going to try to skip over some of the more detailed parts. But let's just say he starts to establish in the city of Ukiah, and he starts to find himself involved in the dope game, allegedly. Okay? And one of the vatos that he actually hits up that actually is out there doing things and actually is a C out there in the East Bay is one big Senor Rojo at the time. Okay, and they knew about each other. They had did a little time on the 6 yard in San Quentin and had met each other. And he told me out of his own mouth, Boxer was probably one of the most vicious individuals when it came to Machina burpees. Boxer did not play. Boxer ran yards with an iron fist. He was not the one to be fucked with. Sasuke, you were going to either get in or get the fuck on, right? Straight up. And I understand that. I've been around a lot of individuals like that, man. They're not playing when it comes to the North. They're not playing when it comes to the struggle. They're not playing when it comes to the cause. They're true believers, man. And if they could do it, Sasuke, you could do it. This came straight out of Rojo's mouth. And he says that is a respect level that not many people have. That he has a lot of respect for Big Box. Because Boxer, man, was one of the most vicious individuals he's seen. Not only with these, but also on that concrete, period. Anyways, so they hook back up. You know, old-time friends, knowing each other for several years. And at this time, allegedly, Rojo was in the mix with one legendary C, Mr. Mexican Mike out of Oakland. For those of you that don't know, Google him. Okay, now you know. Let's just say he was doing big things at that time in the East Bay area. In the East Bay, he was making it happen. He was doing it, right? And of course, he plugs Boxer in, gets Boxer plugged in, and Boxer starts to do his little thing out there. He meets some young Northerners. He starts to assemble basically what is a regiment. He starts to establish out there in the city of Ukiah. Now, of course, along the way, he meets a female. He meets a couple females, you know. And at this time, Boxer's more into the establishment, into getting his feria, into giving something back to the cause, more so than being with women. But just like a man needs his needs. And of course, he meets a woman and he starts to shack up with her, and he's with her for, you know, about a couple years. He ends up getting caught out there, you know, selling dope, or gets caught in possession, and finds himself back incarcerated, okay, doing a violation. And of course, he gets back in, and now he's around some heavy hitters. He himself being a heavy hitter, he gets elevated up to Cat 2 status, which is higher than Cat 1, Cat 3 being the highest, and then the Mesa. So he gets elevated to Cat 2 status. So now he's in position where he could become a regiment commander out there in the streets, establish his own regiment, and go to establish regiments and basically take the llaves, be the llavero. You know, he could take over. And that's how it is up north. So he gets out. Oh, he gets out, and he's not able to go back to the city of Ukiah. Of course, he keeps communication because he met some lifelong friends there, and he actually met his wife, who was from Ukiah, and she'll come into play later on in the story, but he meets her. She starts to write him while he's incarcerated, and they develop a relationship. They develop a friendship, first and foremost, and they develop love, okay? And love is a major thing in this world, okay? So this is what Boxer develops with his wife. I'm not going to say her name here. She's to be well respected. You know, that's that man's wife. And I don't like to speak other man's wife's names. That ain't the way I get down. But let's just say read his book, and so you can find out every detail you need, or ask him, you know, and he'll tell you no. You ask him no questions, he'll tell you no lies. Real talk. So he keeps them relationships going, but he is now put out there in Salas, the big city of Salas headquarters. Now, of course, when he gets to the city of Salinas, this is where his maestro, the vato who basically laced him up, the one he looked up to and he admonished, Mr. Mikey was from. So, of course, he needs to prove himself first and foremost that he's able to hold the keys to a city like Salas. And Boxer is prepared and fully ready to do that. So he gets put out in the city of Salas, and of course, he gets told he is to establish the regiment there, for which he does. He establishes a tight-knit crew. People are out there getting their money. They're doing the things that they're supposed to do. And I'm not going to go into too many details concerning that, but let's just say Boxer had it going on. Now, I've said it in spiels before. In order to be the one, to run the city of Salinas, you have to be someone held of high esteem, of respect, of stature. Not just anyone could go in there and establish Salas. Yes, I will say first and foremost, Boxer was able to do that. He was given that chance, and he did it to the T. He did it perfectly. You know, he established it. There's no ifs, ands, buts. People can question, nowadays they can question his integrity. They can question his get down. They can question anything they want about the man, but they can never question that he was able to go into Salas, again, do something not many vatos, even less vatos, can do. He did it, okay? This was just another notch in his belt to go along with the gladiator wars, to go along with the establishment of a town like Ukiah that up until that date had never had no establishment like that. This man had a lot on his plate, and everything he got, he ate up. You know, he left no leftovers. Put it like that, without too much being said. So Boxer himself proceeds to establish out there in Salas, and again finds himself caught up in certain situations and gets back incarcerated. This man was on the lifetime installment plan, in and out of prison, doing several violations and catching new cases. But that's what enraptures that. That's what entails this life. When you're enraptured in this lifestyle, when you're involved at the highest level in an organization, in a prison gang, or in a prison organization, or even an organization out there in the streets, or a street gang, you're going to find yourself incarcerated. That's mandatory. That's going to happen. Those are the breaks. Break it up, break it up, break it up. Get down. That's just the way it goes down, and that's the way it is. Okay, so Boxer finds himself once again in prison. Okay, and of course he's getting the dictation from the carnales that are sitting on the mesa. So now he has achieved even a higher level. He gets Cat 3 status. Yes, the wind was blowing. He has now achieved Cat 3 status, which is one of the higher ranking members, which is the capitanes and so on and so forth. Individuals that are not supposed to be fucked with. They got 20 years in the organization. They've caught bodies on behalf of the O. They've done several other things. So I'm just saying, though, right? Not a lot of people have done this either. This is another achievement in the underworld that Boxer achieved. Okay, Cat 3 status in the Western Familia is about as fucking mysterious and about as infrequent as seeing Bigfoot. Put it like that. But he gets this. And of course, again, the parole office pulls another cool twist on him. And they put him out there in the city of San Jose, city of Campbell to be exact. And now he's out there wiggling in San Jose. And again, he establishes a regiment. He does what he's supposed to do. He gathers a few norteños, a few well-trusted hermanos, and forms this group. Okay? For those of you that don't know what a regiment is, ¿sabes qué? Just go to Boxer's channel, Rojo's channel, Flaco's channel, even my channel, man, and you'll get the full rundown. Refer to what is a regiment member, and so you're going to get all that, right? But at the same time, I'm not pressed for time here, so I'm not going to get into the intricacies and the details of how to establish a regiment or what goes into establishing a regiment. Let's just say Boxer was able to achieve and do that again. You know, time and time again, he was put in position where he was supposed to be the regiment commander, go out there and be in charge of these individuals and make sure that everything was brought back just the way it needed to be. And time again, he adhered to that. He did it and he achieved that. Okay. These were goals that he set forth and the sole goals that were set forth for him. And he achieved every one of those goals. Okay. So he gets caught up in Campbell. drug possession. People are telling. A lot of things are going on. Shit's banging out there. Okay, so north and south is going down. A lot of the activities that were happening in the city of San Jose and the city of Campbell lead the placas to Boxer's doorstep. Of course, the federal government was already watching the Nuestra Familia. Operation Black Widow was to take place. There were several other things that were happening. And so all eyes were on the NF at this particular time. And of course, Boxer finds himself incarcerated, caught up. Now, at this time, he's married to that woman from Ukiah. So he has a relationship. He has a home. Not only is he doing what he's doing for the organization and doing what he's doing for his own self-preservation, he's also living his life as a husband, as a loving friend. It's like having two lives. Sasuke, you're over here with your wife, man. You're trying to be the man that she wants you to be. And at the same time, you got to be a vicious, cold, calculated character over here. This is called the faces of death, vato. You know what I mean? Half face. One over here, one over there. Not two face. I call it half face. Half of it has to be vicious and half to be loving, And that's just the way it is. So it all blurs at one point in time. So he gets incarcerated. And this time the feds are done. They're very done with him. His name has been on the radar for several years. They've been watching him. They've been watching the way he wiggles. They've been seeing him go in and out and basically, push the agenda of the organization. And they're done. They're tired. Okay? So he's looking at damn near 100 years. 100 of them. Let's talk about that, right? He's looking at 100 years. Okay? And at the same time, nobody knows. Very few people in this world know what it looks when 100 years is in your face, what it looks like. Okay, my brother was looking at 294 years. Okay? He knows what it feels like. Okay? And Boxer was looking at the same amount of time. They were basically done with him. They were ready to throw away the key. Okay? So he's placed in Santa Clara County Jail, one of the most vicious county jails on the face of this earth. Sasuke, known to man. When it comes to Northern California, free Cain, where Cain Velasquez is right now. Sasuke, it's ugly. Not because of the situation that you're in. It's ugly because these people will stretch you out, throw away keys. Sasuke, you could try to make another one. They'll grab that one out of your hand and throw that motherfucker away too. They're not playing, okay? So Boxer's going through a lot of emotions. He has his wife who's sick at the time with a terminal illness, and he can't be there for her. And the thing he wants most in life is to comfort her, okay? Now, of course, he's conversating with her on the phone. You can refer to his book to get really into the details of what happened. But he's conversating, making her feel good on the phone, telling her things that she wants to hear because he's trying to ease her pain and ease her suffering. And, he's trying to give her a straw to grasp, knowing that he's going to be coming home. Now, deep down in his heart, in his mind, he knows he's probably not going to ever be coming home. And, he doesn't want to let her know all the details into what's going on in the case. But at the same time, he wants to be there for her and be her husband because he is her husband, and the love is there for her. He loves this woman. And that's rightfully so. You find someone in your life, your soulmate, your true partner, and you're going to love them. And that love's going to trump everything. Any prison organization, any gang, even your own mother. Sasuke, you love your wife. And that's what it says. I love my mom. But you know what I'm saying? I can understand. And of course, people start to smut his name up. I think they see weakness, right, where there was no weakness. They start to see a person that, hey, your leadership, Sasuke, it's like American me. Hey, man, you're not showing the what does nothing. You're showing a weakness, right? So one thing happens, one thing leads to another, and they start to slander his name. Of course, there's a vato named Lencho, right? The general. I'm the general, right? Lencho, for those of you from the city of San Jose, you all know who Lencho was. Of course, he also was a C. He took a dislike to Boxer. He was probably jealous or hating on the man. It took a dislike to him, and all throughout Boxer's career, he chose to smut Boxer's name up. And of course, Lencho finds himself incarcerated and decides to do the same thing. And quietly as it's kept, man, this vato and several others were able to achieve smutting Boxer's name up. And eventually, man, Boxer had to give up the ghost. Not that he wanted to. He was not ready to give up the Norte. He was stuck between a rock and a hard place. The cause that he loved for so many years and that he struggled and strived for. And of course, a woman that he loved and he only wanted to be there for. Okay? And then to find out the rest of Boxer's story, to find out what went into it, I'm not going to speak on the man's name. I wasn't there. I wasn't right there. Man, I've never seen anything that makes me think differently of this man. So I can't sit here first and foremost and say, so I was getting all these fucking people talk about this and that and this and that. And Boxer's been very transparent with his story. His story's out there. If you want to hear the rest of his profile and his story, refer to his book, A Broken Paradigm. Okay, I'm not here to defecate on the man's character. I'm not here to speak ill words about him. I'm not here to admonish him and say I respect him for being a gangster. I'm here to say I respect him for being a man. Okay, nowadays he controls his destiny. Nowadays he runs a lucrative and very professional YouTube channel known as Paradigm Media News with, of course, his partner Sandman. He's an author. He's in the middle of writing his next book. He has a best-selling book. I mean, this man has done a lot and contributed back to the community. You five me, he's given five to the community to the best of his abilities. Man, let this man live. Let this man tell his story. Let this man be who he is. Okay, there's a lot of people that slander his name, that defecate on his character. And is it justified or not? That's not me here to speak on. So I'm not going to speak on a man who I consider a friend in any derogatory way. You know, whether it be true or not true, like I say again, I'm not here to speak on that because that's not how a real friend does it. Bam. If you need to know any details, you ask Big Box, a very transparent individual. He'll let you know. But all I can say is looking back at this profile and looking at the friendship that we've developed, you know, where I'm able to pick up the phone to some YouTuber that I once fucking was like, wow, I can't wait to get home and listen to his book. It means something to me. It means something to me. And I know a lot of you are out there right now and you're like, well, so Skid Gun, there's been plenty of times that you and Boxer haven't seen eye to eye. You're absolutely correct. When two great minds are on one, we're doing our thing, man. We're making it happen for the people. We're in our motions, right? We're just getting it going. I say on one, not on drugs, my whistles. But I'm saying we're in motion. Sometimes we have a lot of the same concepts, a lot of the same thinking. Hey, great minds think alike, right? Am I going to say I'm on Boxer's level? Charlie, I'm going to say, man, we are both two well-versed individuals with the mind state and the mentality, have done a lot in our lives, been there and done that, and we are now moving forever forward with what we got going on. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this profile. That's Boxer in a nutshell, man. That's his life. I mean, there's several dates, times, names, faces, places, and things that I didn't speak on just because, man, that man has already put his story out there. And those are questions that you need to ask Boxer. My utmost respects goes to the entrepreneur, man, the innovator of this YouTube prison genre shit for the North. A real one, man, Mr. John Boxer Mendoza. Gracias for letting me do this profile. Gracias for, man, putting everything out there. Gracias for being a transparent individual. And at the end of the day, gracias for being a true friend. You already know what it is, man. Hit that like and subscribe if you're liking these profiles. Man, if you're not, you can hit that thumbs down. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. You know what it is. I'm glad that you all joined me for this premiere. Gracias for all the support, man. And thank you, everybody. We will continue to struggle and strive just like Mr. Mendoza did for the cause. Bang, bang. The shit don't stop. The gun. Profiling.